reality, like a sideline, another timeline. What if fact? But the details is too intricate not to have some because the movie came out based on the conspiracy, but they got the opportunity to discover everything they're doing, so they use public information or movies and entertainment to tell you what they're doing as if they're not doing it, and it was all just a big fabrication. That's the way the Cash Records push information out through the art. So when they make the movie, he thought he was telling you a story, a fairy tale. But the Cash Records say that never happened. And you will learn to read it because it'll have familiarity to you. Because most of that stuff is based on historical events with us. X-Men is all about the Pharaoh's house in Egypt. Having the X gene, meaning the mother right to rule. Giving the power from the motherland. That's the X. But they mean, they mama's boys. And who is mama's boys? Masons.
My sons. You connecting the dots, man. Shit, you connected some dots.
So now, mama's boys wake up from the slumber. Mama's house is not in order. What you gonna do when you get home and your siblings got motherfucking clowning all in your house, stripping naked, and you know your parents is on their way home soon? What you gonna do? You start throwing motherfuckers out of it. Clean it up. Get your house clean. Hey, get this shit, get it together. Right now, while the house is clean, it still look just as chaotic as the party was. But they clean it out. So the chaos appears to play out under the cleaning program off the party program. Because a party has been proved. And what we're seeing now is the cleanup. The Hunter Biden laptop is the straw to break the rules back. That's the one right there. Domino that make all of the rest of the dominoes fall.
You said Hunter Biden?
Yeah.
What was on that laptop?
Everything. We got all this business deals with pharmaceutical companies and deep state actors and business deals on these emails with that, you know, they implicate his father, president. And they also implicate the business association with certain people that were associated with the Clinton organizations. Right? Which is going to make them in turn have to bring out the Podesta file, his laptop, with the frazzle chip on it. Right? So it's back in the 1800s, put a eternal hit out on any of us that killed. Right? Because it said that we don't have no right to life. We the enemy. Right? So we're not even realizing that the squatters and the men call themselves the United States. It's the corporate United States of America legal fiction. And that's what it is. It's a fiction. So they tell you in all of the fairy tales, little pieces of the story, when you put it all together. And that's what the bootleg job is, to find out what's going on, put it out in the public so the king can see what's being done on the land without having to disrupt the day-to-day lives of the regular people. Right? Let them go on about their life, and we just get rid of all of the dirt. So this is what we're seeing play out in media now.
Why do you think we're hearing more talk right now in this time period? Like I said, I just seen the History channel on YouTube. They were talking about Antarctica. I'm hearing, why are we hearing so much about Antarctica right now? Like, what's beyond the wall? Is there another continent? Is that when you
It's a
get to the other
landmass
planets?
under the ice. It's
What do
a
you mean?
city under the ice,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the city was frozen. It was flash frozen. Anything when they flash freeze, they use the cryogenics to form out. They do the same process, right? And any one of those Atlanteans, they wake up. That's it. There's not nobody like walking around in physical form right now that can fuck with them on the psychic mental ability alone. They psychic powers, they can make you just fall down in the
So you saying our ancestors is currently flash frozen in Antarctica?
They thought some of them out, and that's where they fucked up at.
Who they doing up?
I'm not sure exactly which ones it was.
So where are the ones they doing up? Where are they now?
They down there. They live down there like we live up here. You know, and they working on falling out more of the ancestors. Well, they not really our ancestors. They was contemporaries of ancestors that we had at that time. When they got flash froze, they bloodline stopped right there.
Okay.
They can't regenerate. Right? So, but our ancestors that from Atlantis, right, that's been continuously reproducing, they don't look the same no more. Changed due to changes in the conditions around us. It compels us to have to adapt to the conditions of parents. Right? Because we not understand that the whole physical construct, the body machine is programmed to adapt to all circumstances and conditions in the environment. So when you produce your child, with the DNA will align to produce what's going to be needed in 30 years versus what you got right now. Your son might look just like you, but the life that he lives is going to require him to function differently. So therefore, he can't be exactly like you, but he can be pretty goddamn close. Right?
Yeah.
So, what you do is, now, okay, let me make sure my son know how to conduct all of these types of business.
Yeah, that's me, my fault. You thought that was you, right?
Yeah, like,
Yeah, brother. Let me press mute while you talk.
Yeah, so you just everything the same way you was taught because you learned from how you was taught what worked and what don't. And for us to be
She doesn't like the scenery, but she's part of the machinery. We call it Southern hospitality. Whatsoever young men call her.
Is it Genghis Khan or Genghis Khan? This needs to be seen in the upside, right? So things like religious toleration. And you say, well, he was religiously, Mongols were religiously tolerant. So this makes them almost like a liberal reformer kind of thing. But this needs to be seen within the context of their empire, which was very much like the Roman viewpoint, which is the Romans didn't care a lot of the time what your local people worshipped. They wanted stability. And if that kept stability and kept you paying taxes and didn't require the legionaries to come in and then they didn't care, right? And the Khans were the same way. Like, they don't care what you're practicing as long as it doesn't disrupt their empire and cause them trouble. But what I always like to point out is, yes, but the Khan could still come in with his representatives to your town, decide your daughter was a beautiful woman that they wanted as the Khan's concubine, and they would take her. So how liberal an empire is this, right? So many of the things that they get credit for is that they're some kind of nice guys may, in another way of looking at it, just be a simple mechanism of control, right? A way to keep the empire stable. They're not doing it out of the goodness of their heart. They have decided that this is the best. And I love, because the Mongols were what we would call a pagan people now, I love the fact that they, and I think we call it, the term we used had to do with, like they were hedging their bets religiously, right? They didn't know which god was the right one, so as long as you're all praying for the health of the Khan, we're maximizing the chances that whoever the gods are, they get the message, right? So I think it's been portrayed as something like a liberal empire, and the idea of Mongol universality is more about conquering the world. And it's like saying, we're going to bring stability to the world by conquering it. Well, what if that's Hitler, right? He could make the same case. Or Hitler wasn't really a world conqueror like that, because he wouldn't have been trying to make it equal for all people. But my point being that it kind of takes the positive moral slant out of it if their motivation wasn't a positive moral slant to the motivation. And the Mongols didn't see it that way. And I think the way that it's portrayed is like, and I always like to use this analogy, it's like shooting an arrow and painting a bullseye around it afterwards, right? How do we justify and make them look good in a way that they themselves probably, and listen, we don't have the Mongol point of view per se. I mean, there's something called the Secret History of the Mongols, and there's things written down by Mongolian overlords through people like Persian and Chinese scribes later. We don't have their point of view, but it sure doesn't look like this was an attempt to create some wonderful place where everybody was living a better life than they were before. I think that's later people putting a nice rosy spin on it.
So, but there's an aspect to it, maybe you can correct me, because I'm projecting sort of my idea of what it would take to conquer so much land, is the ideology is emergent. So if I were to guess, the Mongols started out as exceptionally, as warriors who valued excellence in skill of killing, not even killing, but like the actual practice of war. And you can start out small, and you can grow and grow and grow. And then in order to maintain the stability of the things over which, of the conquered lands, you develop a set of ideas with which you can, like you said, establish control. But it was emergent, and it seems like the core first principle idea of the Mongols is just to be excellent warriors. That felt to me like the starting point. It wasn't some ideology. Like with Hitler and Stalin, with Hitler, there was ideology that didn't have anything to do with war underneath it. It was more about conquering. It feels like the Mongols started out more organically, I would say. It's like this phenomenon started emergently, and they were just like similar to the Native Americans or the Comanches, like the different warrior tribes that Joe Rogan's currently obsessed with, that led me to look into it more. They seem to just start out just valuing the skill of fighting, whatever the tools of war they had, which were pretty primitive, but just to be the best warriors they could possibly be, make a sign for them. Is that crazy to think that there was no ideology behind it in the beginning?
I'm going to back up a second. I'm reminded of the line said about the Romans that they create a wasteland and call it peace. That is
wow.
But there's a lot of conquerors like that, right? Where you will sit there and listen. Historians forever have it's the famous trade-offs of empire, and they'll say, well, look at the trade that they facilitated, and look at the religion, all those kinds of things, but they come at the cost of all those peoples that they conquered forcibly and by force integrated into their empire. The one thing we need to remember about the Mongols that makes them different than, say, the Romans, and this is complex stuff and way above my pay grade, but I'm fascinated with it, and it's more like the Comanches that you just brought up, is that the Mongols are not a settled society. Okay, they come from a nomadic tradition. Now, several generations later, you have Kublai Khan as the emperor of China. It's beginning to be a different thing, right? And the Mongols, when their empire broke up, the ones that were in the so-called settled societies, right? Iran, places like that, they will become more like, over time, the rulers of those places were traditionally. And the Mongols in, say, like the Khaganate of the Golden Horde, which is still in their traditional nomadic territories, will remain traditionally more Mongol. But when you start talking about who the Mongols were, I try to make a distinction. They're not some really super special people. They're just the latest confederacy in an area that saw nomadic confederacies going back to the beginning of recorded history. The Scythians, the Sarmatians, the Avars, the Huns, the Magyars. I mean, these are all the nomadic. The nomads of the Eurasian steppe were huge, huge players in the history of the world until gunpowder nullified their traditional weapon system, which I've been fascinated with because their traditional weapon system is not one you could copy. Because you were talking about being the greatest warriors you could be. Every warrior society I've ever seen values that. What the nomads had of the Eurasian steppe was this relationship between human beings and animals that changed the equation. It was how they rode horses. And societies like the Byzantines, which would form one flank of the steppe, and then all the way on the other side you had China, and below that you had Persia. These societies would all attempt to create mounted horsemen who used archery. And they did a good job, but they were never the equals of the nomads because those people were literally raised in the saddle. They compared them to centaurs. The Comanches, great example, considered to be the best horse-riding warriors in North America. The Comanches, I always loved watching, there's paintings. George Catlin, famous painter who painted the Comanches, illustrated it. But the Mongols and the Scythians and Avars and all these people did it too, where they would shoot from underneath the horse's neck, hiding behind the horse the whole way. You look at a picture of somebody doing that, and it's insane. This is what the Byzantines couldn't do, and the Chinese couldn't do. It was a different level of harnessing a human-animal relationship that gave them a military advantage that could not be copied, right? It could be emulated, but they were never as good, right? That's why they always hired these people. They hired mercenaries from these areas because they were incomparable, right? It's the combination of people who were shooting bows and arrows from the time they were toddlers, who were riding from the time they were, who rode all the time. I mean, the Huns were bow-legged, said, because they were never out. They ate, slept, everything in the saddle. That creates something that is difficult to copy, and it gave them a military advantage. I enjoy reading actually about when that military advantage ended. So 17th and 18th century, when the Chinese on one flank and the Russians on the other are beginning to use firearms and stuff to break this military power of these various gods. The Mongols were simply the most dominating and most successful of the confederacies, but if you break it down, they really formed the nucleus at the top of the pyramid, of the apex of the food chain, and a lot of the people that were known as Mongols were really lots of other tribes, non-Mongolian tribes, that when the Mongols conquered you, after they killed a lot of you, they incorporated you into their confederacy, and often made you go first. You're going to fight somebody, we're going to make these people go out in front and suck up all the arrows before we go in and finish the job. So to me, and I guess a fan of the Mongols would say that the difference, and what made the Mongols different, wasn't the weapon system or the fighting or the warriors or the armor or anything. It was Genghis Khan. And if you go look at the other really dangerous, from the outside world's perspective, dangerous steppe nomadic confederacies from past history, was always when some great leader emerged that could unite the tribes. And you see the same thing in Native American history to a degree too. You had people like Attila, right? Or there was one called Tumen. You go back in history, and these people make the history books because they caused an enormous amount of trouble for their settled neighbors that normally, I mean, Chinese, Byzantine, and Persian approaches to the steppe people were always the same. They would pick out tribes to be friendly with. They would give them money, gifts, hire them, and they would use them against the other tribes. And generally, Byzantine, especially in Chinese diplomatic history, was all about keeping these tribes separated. Don't let them form confederations of large numbers of them, because then they're unstoppable. Attila was a perfect example. The Huns were the Turks, another large confederacy of these people, and they were devastating when they could unite. So the diplomatic policy was don't let them. That's what made the Mongols different, is Genghis Khan united them. And then, unlike most of the tribal confederacies, they were able to hold it together for a few generations.
Have like sparkling lights rolling up and down they tentacles and stuff from bioluminescence. So it's just a different environment altogether from what's up here. And they do have deep sea humanoids that live down there too. They breathe underwater like we breathe in the air.
So like Aquaman isn't far-fetched when, like Marvel got
No, it's not far-fetched at all. They think that Atlantis used to do business with them. And they used to do rescues on the bottom of the oceans until war broke out on the surface. They went deeper. They didn't want no parts of it, and they wanted to be left out of it. The same with some people that was on the ground that went under the earth into the caverns and catacombs and set up whole communities down there and don't come up no more. Right? They done it because they didn't want to take part in the wars that was going on the earth. There was Anunnaki wars, sibling rivalries. That's why their stories got brothers going against each other. That's because the whole system is built up on a sibling rivalry between two competing gods that's trying to fight for superiority, and in the process they subjugating their own children out of their ego. Right? So you got Enki and Enlil. Enki was here first. Enlil don't care. He figured that he should have he's superior rank, so he should be able to run the show. And he gonna get jealous and kick your ass if you don't worship me, because I'm the only one.
Oh man. Let's get to some Q&A from the people real quick. Is the confusion that took place by the division of the languages coming to an end, since almost the whole world now speaks English, minus discrepancies from spells contained in English?
English is not going to be the language. It's the language of deception. Right? They can translate 5 different languages into one English word that mean all 5 of those things simultaneously, and they all mean something different. Right? But the English is the only language where you can use that to deceive somebody. So it's actually the mirror language of what the next language is going to be. The children are going to be learning an entirely different language.
Somebody wants to know, is Gilgamesh frozen and coming back alive?
Gilgamesh is going to be reborn. He's one of the gods, one of the sons of the gods. That's one of Enki's sons.
Okay, next question. I've been having dreams of the pyramid in Antarctica. What would be your take on that? Pyramids in Antarctica, my brother. What's your take?
Pyramids down there, absolutely. It's a huge pyramid down there. There's one down there that might be bigger than the one in Mexico.
And what civilization built this one?
That's ancient Atlantean.
Ancient Atlantean.
Ancient mound builders. They built all these motherfuckers. Wherever you see one that, they built them.
After we did the show last time, there was a lot of people who are still confused about the whole topic of Anunnaki. They still ask, so maybe you clear up the confusion. They're like, are they good or bad? People want to know, the Anunnaki, are they good entities or are they bad entities? So can you answer that both? Yeah.
So the Anunnaki is families that's intermarried from across galaxies to different bloodlines. So you got some of them that see us as food. You got some of them that see us as next to God. Right? And it depends on what side of the family you bump into, how you gonna get treated. Some of them jealous of us and feel like we spoiled brats on earth. No matter what we're going through on earth, the ability to be in the freedom of earth, they jealous of that. Right? And some of them.
So earth has a freedom to it, huh?
Yeah. If you know how to be free on earth, this is the best place to be in the universe, where
That's a big statement.
Yeah. Most of us don't know how to be free. We know how to be slaves because that's all we taught.
Hold up, we gotta rewind that. You said if you know how to be free on earth, this is the best place in the universe. Elaborate on that a little bit, my brother.
Earth used to be a resort.
Woohoo! A resort. Oh shit.
Right. Then it went from being a resort, it was converted into a university because the people that was natural here was so advanced beyond other civilizations. So they was sending people here to train and learn. It was a university. Then the bad kids came, the bullies. The whole family of bullies came and bullied the teachers out their positions. So now Big Mama's and her other boys, the big boys, coming home now. My sons. They coming home to put the new world in order. Right? They wanted a new world order under George Herbert Walker Bush. And 1,000 points of light. Bullshit. Not why the chiefs on the land unite. Right? We know everything they was doing. They was doing it out in the open, but most of us couldn't see it. Right? Because they good at what they do. They do the dirt and then they paint the picture how they want you to see it.
Right. Somebody wants to know, who are the Nordic giants?
Those were they are Pleiadian bloodlines of Earth. It's a dude be doing videos. He don't got no eyebrows. He got straight blonde hair. He one of them. They not giants no more from mixing with other groups, other bloodlines of Earth. But they still can be pretty big.
Somebody asked, I don't see it. Somebody asked, I seen it a little earlier. They said, what does our melanin have to do with all of this? How is our melanin? Wants to know, can Rod talk about the Betelgeuse or Betelgeuse supernova and the effects on humans?
Any of those novas, depending on the distance, right? It depends on the effect and when the effect will be seen. If it's close enough, the effect can be seen in a matter of a couple of years. But if it's not, if it's a distant star that became a supernova, it won't be able to be seen for some time to come. It might be generations before it ever get here.
Okay, can you please ask Rod about what he thinks is next for humanity? How far will we get in this time frame for seeing what is to come? Like, will we see beings like the X-Men in real life? Have we already?
All you gotta do is look a little closer, because you got humans that's capable of doing some phenomenal shit. But we just don't realize that that's untapped potential. And if the potential is untapped, there's a possibility it can be tapped if you understand how it works. But as far as for what's next for us, it's depending on what we wake up to at this time, depends on what's going to be next. It's still mutable at this point.
Still mutable, right? that goes into what you said earlier about this realm being an observer. What did you say? Observer what? As far as what we observe, we have the ability to change.
Right. That's creativity in action. The observer effect.
Observer effect, yeah.
Right. So you have to look up the double slit experiment with the electrons to show you how it works. Because that which is undetermined, which is mutable, is just a wave. It's just a field of energy. But once you make up your mind that it's gonna happen, it becomes a particle. It becomes a proton.
Will America be split in half when the ice walls melt down?
I don't know, but it's a possibility that the Grand Canyon can fill back up.
You said the Grand Canyon?
Yeah.
When you say fill back up, what did it used to be?
So those were rivers. That was an ancient water system.
For who?
It was natural water system. What we did is it's a couple people that know about the artifacts and the stuff that's in the Grand Canyon that's Egyptian and Buddhist in appearance. Right? That's our shit from a long time ago. Right? And it was like living in Venice, Italy, on the water. But when the waters dried up, the people moved out. And the waters gradually dried up, and people gradually spread out to other parts of the land.
Interesting. This brother wants to know, is Nibiru here? Also, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke of the original people being from Mars. Can you elaborate?
That's where the human creation took place on Mars in the Sedona complex, where you see the face of Adam. Dr. York put that out a long time ago, so that's like old news to us. But Nibiru is pretty goddamn close. And if they stop spraying the skies, y'all might be able to see it. With structure, people are just as expendable as the tools on the floor. Right? So we needed to change the workers' condition. That's what they call the worker rebellion. Right? So the workers had to pick somebody to represent the unionized interests of the collective of workers. And then they had to go and find out what's the solution to the workers' struggle. Then fix that. That kills the business or the corporate interest in being able to abuse the little guy. Right? So the cost of living per capita in any country determines what they call the minimum standard of living. Right? The corporations give you just enough money to maintain the minimum standard of living. But once you unionize, organize, and establish that you just as important as the company is, now the company have to negotiate your value according to what you put on it. So this is how we kill the corporate interest, using the auto workers as what you call the model. All right. So now we faced with the political interest. The remnant of the Bush administration was Joe Biden. He was part of the chase for Osama bin Laden, and the people finally caught Obama Joe Biden on a subjugation of the mind. They slid that one in there. See, for 8 years they was looking for Osama bin Laden, so when Obama Joe Biden was the running ticket, the homonym is too familiar to overlook. So they use reverse psychology to turn it around on the people. So that's how we overcame the systems that they was trying to say was superior than tribalism. In tribalism, the person is best qualified to do the job, perform the function, and that's all.
Mm.
It's not personal, family business. We got to work together as a family. That's tribalism.
Mm. Mm.
That's what Cuba was establishing. Right? And they had to first find 3 kings before they could raise the matriarchy, but they killed 2 of the kings.
Mm.
Camilo Cienfuegos, long live Camilo, and Che Guevara.
Mm.
And then they left the spokesperson, which was the politician, which was Fidel Castro.
Mm.
Right? So when the CIA shot the plane down that Camilo was in, and Che went to go free Bolivia, got killed in Venezuela, I believe it was, fighting the freedom for the freedom fighters down there. That made it where they couldn't raise matriarchy in Cuba, so now they have to adapt a structure to where they stopped that.
Mm.
Cuba was under embargo for over 50 years. Think about that. You can't do no world trade. So whatever you do have to be from self-contained. So what did they do? Start training doctors and mechanics. They could take those old cars together and put them back apart like it's nothing. They've been living off those same cars from the 50s for 50 years.
Mm.
Right? Because they couldn't get no new ones in.
Right.
And then you have the people. See, they had to get rid of Batista. He was an animal. Right? So they followed the formula to overthrow the government based on the principles of the 3 kings on the land.
Mm. I'm gonna get to we just gonna do a couple of more questions tonight, family. I want to thank, we got 3,000 people in the room, so shout out to the family that's in the room. Let me post the brother's Cash App one more time, because I didn't leave it long last time because I went to another question. Sick. All right, so yeah, I just posted the brother's Cash App one more time. If you want to support the brother, it's greatly appreciated. I seen somebody mention it earlier. Also, I want to get.
And I have Facebook as Rod Hayes. I think my friends list full, so if I want to be accepted friend request, probably because they won't let me.
Right, indeed. All right, so y'all got the Patreon, y'all got the Facebook, and the brother will be joining my Patreon once a month. We're gonna get to this commercial, then we're gonna be right back with a few more Q&A, and we getting out of here. Shout out to Red and Blue. This is Red and Blue's track. I did the beat, and so check this out, family. We'll be right back. Yo. Joining my Patreon once a month. We're gonna get to this commercial, then we're gonna be right back with a few more to my brother Blue Pill right there with the poetry. You know what I'm saying? The poetry. You know Blue Pill, right? Yeah. I did a show with y'all two before, yeah.
When we start looking for the 3 kings on the land, it's because we have to restore it back to its original position of purity. We have to raise the woman back up to her God status, but we have to make sure that the woman is worthy to hold that status. The highest ranking matriarch on the land right now is Mother Khadijah. By work, Yeah, by work and by suffering. Because she's been struggling in this struggle right along with the minister for over 50 years. Probably 60 something, if you really want to get technical. But she's an instrument of the struggle, and she have the most active matriarchs that's active in their families and keeping their families together under her direct call. Like she can pick up her phone and call them personally.
Yeah.
Right? So she have the most matriarchs on the land under her jurisdiction. The Nation of Islam is not part of the corporate United States. And they are a tribe that was established by Claire Muhammad and Elijah Muhammad. And the tribe had to be set up a certain way because of infiltrators that look like us, but they're not us. So now when we start getting the people's mind to understand that we the ones that's being usurped. We them red people that Jacob pretended to be when he was stealing his birthright from Isaac. Right? And he was covered up by a woman who took sides, one child against the other, in order that this shit play out in the genetic memory. These are the clues for us to unravel the mystery. We are the ones who are organic to the Americas. The law of the land say that the one who becomes aware of extra grievance in the public domain. This is why it seems like we always complaining in the open, because we is. Those who understand the problem based off the grievance vex that finds a solution is obligated by tribal law to offer up the solution. Right? And it's up to the collective of the clans people to support the leadership when they understand what's taking place on the land. They automatically line up to push the agenda for freedom. They're not going to do it if they don't see the solution, the problem, the perpetrators. They have to see everything involved. And then you have to offer a solution, because if you don't have a solution, you present the problem, you frustrate the people.
Right.
Right? So the solution is a universal understanding, everybody on the same page saying we need to see Larry Hoover walking on the land. Because it's a whole script of things entailed with us demanding to see Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover is the prerequisite for the raising of the matriarchy. Right? He is the chairman or the spokesperson for the collective chiefs across the land. And Angel Bay is his witness from Chicago. Big Tukey is witness from the West Coast. They have to tell the people the problem, who was doing the dirt on the land, and that they got it under control now. And Mama gonna be safe to take her position, right? Because we was at war. Well, all that shit got to come to an end now. So the next thing to fall is their banking system.
Let's get to the next question. Please ask Rod, is our inner sun the transmuter that will seal the reset or awakening?
Your inner sun is your heart chakra that runs off mitochondrial generated love energy. Right? And it's there to illuminate your body with wisdom when it reaches the brain, the frequency. Comes in through the heart chakra. But if you don't raise past your lower three chakras, then you can't tap into it. It's affected electromagnetically from the coronal mass ejections, from what we call stellar ejections, the energy being other stars doing the same thing in a different distance. right? Because the coronal mass ejection is not the only electromagnetic energy that's impacting the Earth. This is why you have zodiac signs. Read what electromagnetic field was you born under determines a lot about how to teach you, how to educate you, how to teach you to tune into the self, who you were in your past life, and etc.
Let's get to 2 more questions. What is the blue ice in Antarctica?
It's not uncommon to see blue ice. Blue ice is fresh water that's frozen. When you see blue ice, it was fresh water. White ice can be salt or fresh water. And then you have that foggy ice that's more commonly salt water. It's clear, but it's foggy. So the blue ice is fresh water with very low impurities. Genocide going on, tribal massacre, trying to eliminate one of the tribes because they got to try to find a place to be because they don't belong here. That's why they keep getting kicked out everywhere they go, and they're not native to know where they go. Where the fuck they from? Where they from? They not from here. They nomads everywhere they go. No point of origin. Drifters. Eternal drifters. They not part of the families of the earth. And that's why they don't care what happened to us. And they look like us so they can pass for being us while they do dirt to us without us ever knowing it. The biggest thing is the soft sell. Get you to focus on the money while they just take everything else from up under you. While you so busy focused on the money, they're destroying your family.
Let's get to one more question, man. I'm just really enjoying this conversation and these questions and answers as well. I just seen give me a second, family. Well, let me ask this one. Rod, does the 3 kings have significance with the Orion or 3 kings in the Bible? We just lost the brother, so we'll be right back. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in tonight, though, man. The Pack Show, great conversation, amazing conversation, yo. Amazing conversation. Oh man, okay, here go the brother here. Rod, you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, so last question, my brother. Does the 3 kings that you talk about have significance with Orion or 3 kings in the Bible?
Yeah. So the three stars of the Orion's belt is called the 3 kings, and it's also called the 3 sisters. The 3 kings in the Bible is the same story. They was going to meet Horus, right? And Isis was giving birth. So the Orion belt is reflected on Earth as Egypt. And Egypt has a guardian called a Sphinx. All of these is telling us the story. They look into the West. This is the West. So when you get to the Vadum, when you need to send the opener of the way, right? They send them in rank as 3 brothers. There's 3 of the ancient pantheon. It's the Elegba, it's the Shango, it's the Ogun. They tear shit up so that they can make way for the sister to return Oshun, the goddess of love, which is another name for Isis. So it's all tied together across cultures and across histories and in the as above, so below.
I guess we're gonna end it there, family. I don't want to keep the brother too long, man. Rob, man, I appreciate this, man.
No problem, man. You know,
you be connecting these dots, bro. Somebody said you got the crystal skull. Well, you was talking about all them terabytes. They was like, the way you just be coming up with this, man. You got the crystal skull, brother.
Look, this was 35 plus years of study, non-stop. So I used everything that they used to oppress me to learn how the system worked, how to interpret what was being done and what was going on.
Like you did 35 years straight?
No. That's how long I've been studying.
Oh, I do it. Okay.
I did 16 years in prison.
Yeah.
Right? But I even used my job as a university. Right? So the thing that most of us miss is something called process. Ain't no proof. It ain't gonna happen when you want it to. It's gonna happen when the universe produces it. Right? So we want it to happen on the time frame, but when you get out of 3 dimensions, there is no time frame. So spirit matters happen on Earth when they happen, but they all sync to stellar events because as above, so below. What happens with the stars is reflected in the reality on the ground, and the fairy tales and the stories tell us how the stars play out on the ground. Right? It teaches us how to read the signs that we see in front of us.
Hey, thanks once again, Rod. Leave your contact info one more time for the people that want to get more of your info.
So y'all can catch me on Rod Hayes on Facebook, Rod_Hayes.75 on Instagram, Morpheus Mysticus Megas.
Madlib means mind altered or mind altering demented lessons and beats. It's basically I'm just scientist of music, basically. My father was a singer, soul singer, you know what I mean? So I always traveled with him around shows and studio. I always tripped off the engineer and mixing the board. And from there I just got into music, you know what I mean? I started making beats when I was 10 years old. It was like 1983. Became a musician because I read a lot of books, read documentaries, and it seemed like a crazy lifestyle. I was into different things than everybody else. I just like that fast-paced lifestyle, I guess they call it. You know what I mean? Music is like how everybody communicates together. So you communicate with aliens probably with music. So I'm doing music. My influences are cats like Miles Davis, Sun Ra, David Axelrod, who was an arranger for Capitol Records. People that always did their own thing and were different, basically. Sometimes it's like 9 to 5, or most of the time it's like 9 to 9, 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. I'm still young, so stay up with me. Best thing about being a musician is all the women. I got 2 rooms full. Right? Can't even walk through. My body weighs a ton also. What instruments do I play? I play anything except horn. I'm not good with horns and flutes. I can pick up a bass, vibraphone, guitar, drum, percussion. My favorite instrument is drums. You can take out the whole day on that drum set. I mean, I'm falling off the drum set. It's going crazy. It's vibrating with playing music. So it's a good way to get away. It inspires me to make music. Just being able to wake You know, you listen to a record and get an idea, a melody or something, you play it or sample it. Yeah, it's life in general, being around good people, bad people, everything. If somebody wants to become a musician, I would say stay in school, go to college, and be a lawyer. I say if you want to do music, I would say just stay original, come from your heart, and hopefully you like doing it, because it's going to be a lot of ups and downs. I wouldn't change it for the world. Music keeps me healthy. You know what I mean? It keeps me out of trouble. That's all, you know. If I wasn't doing music, I don't know what I'd be doing. When I was a youngster, I probably would have, I'm telling you, I had music. That was a good way for me to get away and escape outside and stuff. Everybody looked at me weird because I was in my house doing music. They were all playing their basketball and everything. How they understand?